How to Draw Cartoons with John-Marc. Hey, it's John-Marc and welcome to my series on teaching you how to draw cartoons and so much more. Today's episode, I have two lessons to go over with you. The first one is going to be a picture that I took out this past summer out west. I'm going to take that picture of rocks and turn it into cartoons and give you little tips and techniques. Now, the second one is just using your imagination. I love trees, as you've seen from time to time. And I'm going to create this little cartoon oak tree. So, if you're ready and you have your paper and some pencils, well, pencils, you might want different leads. Yeah, not just one pencil, but several different leads to do better shading. Yeah. So if you have all those ready, let's begin. Today's lesson, we're going to do this cartoon desert scene from a photo I recently took. Alright, as you can see, I am sharing the photo of the actual picture that I'm going to work off of. From time to time, you have heard me share that go out, take a picture and bring it back home and do a little sketching, and this is exactly what I am going to do. But please note, this is just going to be a representation of what I see. I'm going to customize it and change it a little bit, but I'm going to turn it into a cartoon style. So it's not going to be 100%, but the basic of this lesson is to help guide you to understand that right in front of you in nature, wherever you travel, perspective or content, you have content that you can easily take a picture and bring it home. So you don't always have to be creative right off the start, but using that photo, you can be very creative still. So sit tight and watch this lesson. Alright, so I'm going to be working off that photo that I shared with you just moments before. And the paper I'm working off is, as you can see, the large 11 by 17, which I like. I'm just going to quickly sketch out the overall look and feel. And from that point, I'm going to go a little bit more detail. So it's going to be like my step 1, step 2, step 3 process that I've shared from time to time. And I'm going to introduce the basic shapes, and then I'm going to show the photos from time to time. Just want to like have it in the top corner there that you can see. I'm just going to crop it out, and you can just kind of see the following of the shapes of the mountains, the rocks, should I say. Actually, this was a trip that my daughter and I drove all the way out to California from North Carolina for that very big meeting, and it was very successful for myself for my project. But getting back to this lesson, and we saw some desert areas through California that we had to stop, and we actually climbed these rocks. We took the car, drove it all the way out there. There was a little dirt road. It was awesome. We took a ton of pictures and close-up shots in there. Anyway, so here you can see the shapes and the forms kind of play up with actually the photo that I'm working off of, but I'm playing with a little bit more of a cartoon flair, meaning maybe a little bit more bubbly, not so detailed. The rocks there were actually very smooth and very, very rough. Not smooth, almost like cement and a lot of sandblasting that was going there. The texture was really cool. And here's a little side note. I don't have it on my pictures right now. You may want to take close-up of the texture, so you might just want to be interested to know what it is for references for future drawings or paintings. It's just as a thought. And what I did here is I have the background. I did a quick mountainscape in the background there, and now I'm getting a little bit more detail to the actual the rocks and the shading and the lighting. Again, this is just pretty much like my step 1, and I'm almost on step 2. I'm just kind of guiding my light source. I'm looking at the picture and I'm taking creative liberty, should I say, and adding and moving things around. I'm not going to put a lot of the brush that are there, like the tall little bushes or anything. I'll put grass in later. I just want to get the stone texture and just to give the flair of the actual picture right now. So you can see when I'm working off of there, it's not 100%. There's more detailed rocks in that area and all different shapes. But the form, what this really helps me right now is say, okay, I want to do something different. I might always have an idea in my head and I'm repeating the same style, rocks, or look and feel. So taking a photo, going out to nature and just capturing what is right in front of you, does help you take that change from what you normally may be drawing all the time and just break that norm. Like this rock here, there was a balancing rock on top of it, believe it or not, and that was pretty cool. I'm going to do more lessons like this, or trips out west, where I travel to all the different national parks from Arizona to Montana, Colorado, Utah, Nevada, and everything in between. Some amazing beauty that we have in America, national parks. But for right now, as you can see, I'm just cleaning up the little areas. I'm going to darken them up later on. This is just moving to the next step. Each time I kind of quickly glance, and okay, like the background mountains here, you know, I just randomly, as you can see, they're not in those in the photo yet. It's not in there, but I'm still playing with that, just using my imagination. But believe it or not, in the distance, in a corner, those mountains were in there. This was a huge park that had deserts, and it was really cool. There was a train that was going by. We got some train pictures. I'm inspired to do a little train lesson now. And as you can see here, I'm pressing a lot more. I'm getting some more detail, a little bit heavier on my pencil where the shadow line was, and so forth. But yeah, at the end of this video, I'll take some pictures close up of my daughter and I when we're actually on the rock, and some of her, just so you can see the magnitude of these rocks. These were pretty big, not mountainous size, but not like I could just sit on there and it was like a small little car or anything. This was a pile of rocks that was really cool to walk on. It was in the middle of the desert, and there was quite a few of these little visuals, bunch of rocks there. It was pretty cool. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. And now, back to our show. So when you're using your imagination, you're using the photo to guide you, to encourage your eye to say, oh yeah, this could be here. You know, maybe I want to have a big tree in the background or a house in the background. However, you can still add those elements. This is just giving you that one step that you can really play into getting out of the house and out of your studio and get into nature and just draw what you see, or taking photos, taking a hike, spending a day or a weekend traveling and taking photos. This could be just going even to the school. You can go to a local park and takes a bunch of rocks in a little brook or a river or a pond. Same thing, taking tree pictures, taking a statue, a water fixture that might be in there, or even a bird bath, you know, variety of houses, a fire extinguisher, an alley where all the buildings are lined up, your own school, okay, your home, okay, whatever you can take a picture of and then bring it back. The sky is the limit. I want to really encourage taking photos as well as using your imagination, just pulling out there, but taking the photos. You can see this helps guide you into that step pretty quick, but you still have that flair of creativity. You see, it's not 100% what is in the photo, but the overall visual kind of implies that location. As you can see, the rocks and the big rocks here might change the size or lessen the amount of rocks in there or in the form, but the overall silhouette, a rough silhouette should I say, does have that feel. It's not 100%, and that's perfectly fine. I just want you to share your creativity when you're working. And I'm just going to add some little grass blades. As you can see, that my picture does not have grass blades this high all over the place. It's more of a really sandy area, because this was like people had like campfires here, and there was a lot of car tracks, so there was not a lot of brush right there because it was so much heavily walked upon, should I say. But on the other side of these rocks, there was a ton of brush, and there was even a whole bunch of bunny trails and bunny holes all over the area on the other side. We actually did see a couple bunnies pop up and run away. I'm just going to be randomly just making a few little rocks throughout the area here, as you can see here, little small ones randomly, and just placing them throughout the picture right now. Just making it easy, stippling. This is another great lesson that you could actually take this and Xerox it and play around with some color pencils to change the color of the stones. They don't have to be this white tone. It could be more of a clay or a steel blue. Feel use your imagination and change that whatever you want to, but taking the color pencils and taking it as a mock-up and coloring it in. You could color this thumbnail if you want to. The reason I don't want to suggest that all the time, because if you didn't like what you color, you're going to throw it away. And I don't want you to throw away. I encourage you to keeping your art all the time to see your growth as an artist. And by doing that color comp, you can say, yeah, I like how it looks with the colored pencils quickly, and you may want to turn into a watercolor, acrylics, or play around with some oils with it, just to practice. It's like kind of a study, as we would call it as an artist. So you kind of just do the breakdowns. You don't have to do the entire picture. You can do little spots and pieces when you're doing that, when you took that Xerox, just to guide you before you jump into it with the colors and so forth, to play around with that. But if you feel confident and you're ready to go, jump on in, of course. Know your skill levels, know your confidence level, and encouraging yourself to explore and push that envelope as an artist. As always, here's the top rock here, and the lead that I'm using is kind of like a B2, and my palm is kind of softening the edges, kind of like blending it on the underneath there, so I'm trying to avoid it too much with the shading. All right, a little shading here, a little underneath, a little darker, little spots here and there. Okay, little cracks more. You know, let's get a little bit heavier and darker with those stones over there. More random ones throughout the area here again. All right, finishing a little grass blades more here and there, little tall ones in the back. And everything, yeah, that's looking good. I like that. All right, little grass blades here. They're just randomly just putting them there. Again, you can see it's not in the picture. I'm just using my imagination. You could put a tree trunk there if you wanted to, a hole for the bunny, like I said, like I saw. I'm just going to really shade in the back mounts a little bit heavier right now, just to give more of a contrast. There we go, a little bit more depth in the back there. I like that. Heavier back here. These are like rocks that might be further back, hiding from the sun. It's just going to shade lightly the little valley in here, so it's not totally white there. That's intent. Yeah, that's looking good. I like that. A little bit more speck. Again, this has all the brush area there, and I just avoided that. Visually, I just want a little simpler. You know, let's do some clouds. As you can see, I'm just doing a quick little cartoon clouds, add in there just to fill that gap. You can have an airplane flying in there if you want to, a flying saucer. You can have a flying squirrel, whatever you want to do. You can have a superhero in there. I'm just going to shade some of the clouds, give it some like storm clouds forming maybe, or just to give that feel. Yeah, these clouds are just really quick, just randoming them in there. They're not like the ones that would be perfect to use. So I want to really concentrate on the stones more than the clouds. So I'm not going to do them perfect intentionally like that. There's like a rough sketch. Very, 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 very sketchy. And let's add some few little birdies here and there in the distance. Yeah, there was a lot of birds in the desert, believe it or not, that we saw some small ones and big ones. All right, what else can we do? You know, let me you know what? I'm going to add some cactus in here. Yep. You know, we saw so many different colorful cactus. They were about to bloom. Some were blooming. Some were tall. Some had the ball ones, shape of a ball with red flower on top. Was beautiful. A lot of yellows and purple cactus flowers all over the place. I was hoping to get more pictures of those, but they didn't fully bloom. They were a little bit behind right now. All right, I'm going to make another one over here, random. A little shading, and put the little spikies in there. All right, yeah, they're a little sharp. You don't want to pick them. You can really hurt yourself. All right, here's like a small little baby one coming up. All right, variety there. I think that looks good. You know, yeah, I'm just going to do some random quick shading. So if this was like a medium-sized area that was dark in there, so you can see the light, medium, and so forth. Yep. That kind of just fills up that white space, so it's not always white. You know, I feel good. So make sure we sign, date, share with your family and friends. Thanks for watching this episode, and have a great day. Now that was a fun lesson, and I hope you enjoyed the tips and techniques I shared with you about the different graphite pencils and learning how to hold the pencil again and just shading. Overall, the key thing I want you to really understand again is more you sketch and more you practice, the better you'll become as an artist. And as you can see at the very end of this lesson was a couple photos of myself and my daughter traveling out west, and when we took that landscape of all those different rocks. Not a bad tip. Take as many pictures as you can. So if you enjoyed this lesson, the next one with the little cartoon tree is going to be just as fun. Using your imagination, If you have your paper and your pencil still, I think we're ready to begin. All right, here we go with the lesson. Feel free to use your imagination and your creativity and even your style when watching this lesson. As you can see, I am just quickly sketching out the structure of the tree. And as you can see here, just let your creativity go. Don't be try to super focus. It's a tree, so you have branches, the leaves that are going to be here, some overlapping, some skinny branches, some thick ones, So when you're working on trees, I love working on trees. As you've seen many of my videos, they're very fun and creative. One thing I love doing is going outside and just looking at them and seeing how they actually are formed and everything. And I kind of take like a mental note on that. Sometimes I'll have a sketch pad and I'll just take like quick little notes and rendering right there and just put it together. So in this case, this is just coming out of my imagination, nothing in front of me or whatsoever. And I just like these little gnarly roots that are popping up, kind of like almost like their fingers. And they're just coming up and going into the ground. I'll have like little rocks, grass. I used to have like little mushrooms and flowers, bird houses, flower pots on them. Been doing these for over 40 years, and they're just really fun. I love doing trees. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. And now, back to our show. All right. So here, I'm just doing it is just like shading in the background a little bit just to give that distance. So the one on the far right is behind the tree, and the one on the left here is in the foreground. And I'm just using my thoughts. And yeah, let's get some shadowing going down here right now too. And when I do the pencil, sometimes for the tree, you don't have to be perfectly straight. Like you can kind of wiggle it left and right, show some veins and some roots that are kind of like not looking. What I mean by knots are just like, if you see the old-fashioned rope that have the knots, they have that skinny line and they have a lot of pattern in there. Like right here, that's like a little bump here and there because that might have been like a branch that broke off there. And there's a little more shading here. Likewise here, I'm just going to randomly do my little speed lines. A little over here. Let's get a little bit more over that. That's better. I like that. So what do you think when you're drawing a tree? Okay, what inspires you to do these backgrounds and mountains and rocks and shrubs and bushes? Well, for me, it's because I do a lot of kids books. I love doing that, and also video games, and you're building backgrounds. So just playing around with it constantly gives you more variety and a little referencing that you can go back and forth. Reminds me of my childhood making tree forts and tree houses in the trees. There we go, a little shading. Yeah, we had a couple in our neighborhood and even had one in my backyard. All right, little rocks. Put little rocks randomly, little small ones, big ones. Yeah, and there we go. Yep. Looking good, looking good. Little one over on this side. I make my rocks a little round, I know. A little oval, smooth. They're kind of almost like the typical rocks you might find in a riverbed. Little grass blades here and there, randomly, front and back, overlapping, crisscrossing. Try to break down any type of patterns that might be in there, yeah. Or erase. But how are we going to do like for the actual tree itself. So I'm just going to keep this a little simple, smooth, not too many leaves on there, just randomly, kind of like as if it was like hair, just a little overlapping here and there, and smooth for the rest of the part. And I'm just going to shade in that little area right here. Here we go. So that's kind of like indicating like it's curving down, bending down. Yeah, it'll put a few up on the top there. Let's create another one randomly right on the top, like it's pulling through the top there. There we go. That looks good. And same thing. I'm just going to give a little shadowing on there. This one here a little bit more as well. Yep. Very simple. This lesson is nothing hard, but the thing that I want you to really practice with is maybe do this lesson and do it like 2 or 3 times, but change the actual structure of the tree and the foliage. If it has no leaves, if it's wintertime, or change the style of the branches, skinny, broken down. Be really creative with that whole part there. And let's create another one right here too. Smaller one, branch sticking on the top, working all the way around. And as always, I make sure that you date these, and always, always, always keep your artwork. Don't throw it away. You can see how well you're getting as an artist and growing, and you might even could use it as a reference for future projects and everything. Yep, this one looks very simple. I'm just about done with this one. I'm liking it right now. I'm just going a little bit darker, getting a little bit more pressure. As you start, I go very light, and now I'm just getting a little heavier. Just working our way around, just seeing a little, where can I actually get some more detail here, a little bit more pressure, a little harder on there. Yeah, I could have taken this a little bit more, but you know what? This is just a simple little lesson. I don't want to spend too much time on there, and I want you to use your imagination and do more than one if you have the time. Sketch daily, and you'll grow as an artist. I'm just going to shade that in the back. It's like it's really in the background there. Let's get that little between the branches there. That's the back part of the tree, so it's like really dark. Get some contrast. Yeah, that looks good. All right. Yep. I think I'm just about done. Maybe a little bit more here. Let's just see. A little. I was thinking like if I had a hole in there where an owl would be. But you know what? I feel good. So let's sign date.
Whoa, now that was another fun lesson, and I hope you really use your imagination. You might even change it to your style or added a few things to that tree that I was not thinking of. And if you're thinking of them now, you may want to go back and add those. So between the 2 lessons, what you can learn is 1, I'm actually using my imagination, but I'm kind of happy about what trees might look like and shape, and I just draw. The first one, what we went over, was actually a photograph and using something and turning it into a cartoon. It doesn't have to be 100%, but it could be close, just to give you a representation and help you to create that picture. Between the 2 of them, I hope you enjoyed it, because sketching daily and drawing and sketching and drawing and sketching, the more you do, the better you will become as an artist. My website is jmg-studio.biz. Thanks for watching both of these lessons, and have a blessed day.